The following story has been brought to you by StoriesToInspire.org.
You know, as a rabbi, as a human, sometimes we have to do things that people don't like, and people won't like us for it. And sometimes we just make mistakes, which also happens. And people won't like you for the mistakes you make. And it hurts. You think about somebody that you know that you've had a falling out with. How does it feel when you see them in shul or in the market or wherever? It's uncomfortable, very uncomfortable. So a couple of years ago, there was one particular individual during COVID when things were very, not everybody, was in agreement on masks and not masks, vaccines, etc. There were a lot of different opinions. It was a very confusing time. And this guy was a really, really, really good guy. Really good guy. But he didn't like, the way, our shul had to do things at the time. And so he left. And it created a rift. I'm talking about like a really good person. And every time I see the guy, it really hurts me. So I like him. I really like him. And I tried reaching out for Rosh Hashanah. Saw him a little bit over Yom Noraim. But there was still this rift. It came to Simchat Torah. I want to change gears for a second. Change stories. Simchat Torah night, unfortunately in our community, everything that was happening, while it was happening, we unfortunately knew about it as it was happening. People were sharing. And it was a very, very complicated day and night. And we were struggling, like many communities, right? Do we sing? Do we dance? Oh, it's Avodas Hashem. It's Simchat Torah. We have to do what Hashem wants. On the other hand, how could you sing? How could you dance? Look what's going on. We should just sit here. We should sit on the floor and mourn. Look what's happening. How could you sing anything? And there were these raging emotions on both sides. What should we do? So Simchat Torah night, we spoke with Shlomo Miller. We said, okay, we're gonna try to tone it down a little bit. But so it was still dancing, but it was toned down for what it usually is. And there was one guy who was really bothered by it. He didn't like it. He really didn't like it. And so, he walked up and he says, this is not right. It's not right. And he gets up and he leaves the social hall and he goes up to the front door. And in the meantime, we decided we're changing what's going on over here. It didn't feel right for us either. And so we changed the tone. And instead, we make one big circle on the men's side, one big circle on the women's side. And everybody goes arm in arm. And we all put our arms around each other with the Sefer Torah in the middle. And we start singing Achenu. And as the place goes, Achenu kol beis Yisrael, and we're all arm in arm, I go up and I run to the lobby. And I see the guy. He hasn't left yet. And I walk up to him and I didn't say anything. I just took his hand. I brought him back downstairs. I went right into the middle, put my arm around him. I put my arm around the guy next to me, whoever it was. And I closed my eyes. And we all continue singing. And we sing all the way through. We sing it again and again and again. And the place is singing and singing and singing. We all have our eyes closed. It's a very, very emotional time. And the song ends. And my eyes are closed. And I take my arm off the person to my left of me. And I hear a voice. And the voice of the person says, who says you can take your arm off of me? And I look. And it was that first guy, the guy who I had this rift from for so many years since COVID. I didn't even realize that when I went back into the circle and pulled this other guy in on my right, that the person I put my arm around on the left was this individual who we've had a little bit of uncomfortable feelings towards. Who says you can take your arm off of me? This is a very, very, very opportune time, a very powerful time to mend relationships. And everybody's hearts are open. We've all made mistakes, but this is a time for achdus. Doesn't matter what the relationship was.
Enjoyed this story? Come again. Bring a friend. StoriesToInspire.org